Hey there, my name is Pravus, and welcome to more Hearts of Iron 4 Kaiserreich, playing as the Dominion of Canada, led by the British Exiles, who have left their home in the United Kingdom because of the filthy syndicalists, and now are trying to rebuild themselves in one of their primary crown colonies. We're finishing up the Imperial Federation Convention right now, which is giving a bunch of the other former members of the British Empire, I guess still technically part of that, but it's not entirely British if I don't control Britain, but you get the idea. They're all kind of doing their thing right now. They're going to get some nice little benefits. And a coup occurred in Siam. That ends the conference. God save the king. And now we have a demonstration at the King's Speech. A campaign stop by Mackenzie King in Toronto was marred today when it was met by a large demonstration organized by the Orange Order of Canada. The Order, which celebrates Canadian ties to the British Empire and has been campaigning strenuously for greater action against the Union, has declared the Liberal no conscription position an outrage that threatens the very survival of the Empire. The raucous chanting and shouting prevented just King, his first name is King now apparently, from continuing the speech, and altercations between Liberal supporters and the Orange Order almost ended up in a riot before the police were able to intervene. They should never have been there! Or we could accept the social conservatism, but no matter what, we lose some stability, and I might as well double down on the market liberals a little bit longer. Now, for full disclosure, I am actually re-recording this chunk of the series. I actually recorded the entire first week of videos, so 5 episodes. But I made a single mistake. I didn't know it was a mistake at the time, but it was a mistake that would really slow down my game and led to a couple of videos of almost nothing happening. And that wouldn't be very entertaining for you guys, so I'm redoing part of this. I have a bit of more knowledge going into this than I did before, so, you know, full disclosure on that, but I'll point out my mistake when I get there, because we'll get there in a bit. Compromise with America. There has been a break in the chilly relations with the American government since their demand for debt repayment. They have approached us with an offer, economic assistance now, and an agreement to increase trade with the Entente, in exchange for the rest of the debt being delayed until the home isles are retaken. Which was, aides point out, the original deal to begin with. It might be a way to restore goodwill with our southern neighbors and even help them, though some are suggesting that there's no point in shoveling our limited funds into a bottomless pit. I would agree with that, and this would get me some more support and some political power, which would be very nice. However, I kind of want the feds to win this civil war, so I'm going to accept a massive loss of political power here and do this. I don't know if this is the right choice, but it's what I'm going for regardless. So they're no longer outraged. We'll see what happens with that. Thank you, Herbert Hoover. It depends a lot on who's going to get elected. In my previous attempt at this, somebody I really don't like got elected, so we're going to see if it's random or not. I really have no idea what to expect there. Socialist victory in Russia. No, this is happening again, is it? Hey, something we need to do is set up a supply hub, at least one, right over here. The reason being, even with motorized, there's not nearly enough supply over here for me to sustain a large army close to Detroit, and if I can have most of my forces here when the American Civil War kicks off and I intervene, I'll be able to sneak down to Chicago quickly and try to knock the CSA out of the war. So this is kind of what I want to go for. Gonna take a long time to build, unfortunately, but I think we are going to need it. Any other supply hubs I feel like I really need? I mean, you could almost justify building a couple down in these areas around Alberta and whatever else in Saskatchewan, but I'm not going to worry about it. This is the one that really matters to me. The next thing I really need, though, is to actually build up my factories way faster. So we'll see what happens with some of that. March against the conscription. A giant march against Bill C-7 and the prospect of a nationalist conscription has taken place in both Montreal and Quebec City, with smaller marches taking place in Ottawa and Vancouver. Opposition to conscription is beginning to hit ahead, with many of the signs in the marches declaring "Exiles get out" and "Nowhere for Canada" in either English or French. Members of the Conservative Party have openly suggested the marches are being organized by the Union of Britain in order to destabilize the Entente, but Mackenzie King and the Liberals have treated them seriously and doubled down on the party's opposition. That does get me a little bit more market liberal popularity, whether I like it or not. In this case, I do like it, but you can see my stability is continuing to plummet, which is terrible. I am not making much in the way of political power. I would really like to get a lot more, but there's not a lot I can do about this for right now. Crown corporations are done. Now we can move on to creating the Iedc, which gets me some power and also creates a nice little economic union between all the members of the Entente, i.e. the members of the former British Empire. I want to get that set up, and then I'd love to work toward open federal relief camps, which is going to boost up my construction speed and factory output, but also it's going to reduce consumer goods so I actually have more factories to work with. An alternative might be to go for address the army and get 50 army experience right now, which would be kind of nice. but I don't think that I'm going to need it, so we're just going to ignore that for now and focus on building up the economy as quickly as we can. Another thing that I'm going to do is pull off a couple of factories. We're going to start building up some light tanks, but mostly what I need here is going to be some additional artillery, if we can, and then after that, maybe some support equipment, because I want to start adding some support artillery into all of these armies, and that's going to end up being very expensive. I know for a fact, from my experience, that the artillery is going to end up being my primary bottleneck, and I don't like that. Let's go ahead and swap these guys all over to proper infantry divisions. I'm not going to have enough equipment to support all this for a little bit, but I'm going to do it anyway because I feel like we're going to need to. So that's going to be fine. We'll just go ahead and rearrange a few things over there. We need to train up a lot of units as well. That's another thing we have to do, and that's one more reason why I'm going to need a lot more military equipment. Let's see. We've finished up with some extra research. That's great. Let's go ahead and boost up our artillery, make that just a smidge stronger. Apparently, by the way, you can actually get Fighter 3s very early on if you want to, by following down the Air National Focus route, but I have to think that the economy is a bit more important. Bennett assaults a reporter. At a campaign stop in Hamilton, R.B. Bennett was aggressively questioned by a French-Canadian reporter over the Conservative plans for conscription, outright implying that the Conservatives intend to send French Canadians into the front lines in order to eliminate their threat to Anglophone domination. Haha! Unsurprisingly, tempestuous Bennett's response was to attack the man, causing a near riot. What an embarrassment. Lose some stability again, but get the market liberals a little bit more power as a result. Duplessis wins the Quebec election. Not good for me because that's going to increase the tensions between the French and the Anglophiles there. But yeah, political power goes down, stability goes down. Yeah, this conscription law thing is kind of a big deal, apparently. I was originally planning on saying screw it, I'm going for it anyway, but I'm kind of the opinion that that's a mistake, and I actually do want, ooh, nationalists, but I actually do want to, hold off on conscription, and I'll explain more about why in a little bit. So we've just created the Imperial Economic Development Council with all the former members of the Entente, and now we're going to get a reduction in consumer goods because I'm the head of the Iedc. And we're going to spend some political power in order to add on to a new thing. First off, let's go ahead and choose the Federal Relief Camps. I want to go ahead and boost that up. So in decisions, we now have a thing over here. It is Iedc investment in the Dominion of Canada. And we can start inviting other members of the Entente into this faction. Anyone in my faction or any of my vassals can join this. And we'll all start pooling some political power every year into a pool. And with that pool, I can spend some of it to boost up myself or one of the members of the Entente with a small economic boost. We're talking like a free factory and stuff. Let's go ahead and do this right now on myself, for example. I can get a civilian factory, an arms factory, or a naval dockyard. I'm actually going to go ahead and pick up the military factory, weirdly enough, because I'm gonna need a little bit more help producing some of this artillery. So we'll do that. I think I need to trade for a little bit more tungsten. Let's go ahead and do that with the USA, even though I hate losing a civilian factory on that. That's just kind of necessary. We're going to finish building this sucker up. And then as soon as this is done, I want them to start working on the supply hub, and we're going to pass that little reorganization button in order to boost it up by 300% so we can build it really quickly, because I don't want to waste any time on it if I don't have to. So we'll go ahead and do this. As soon as that's done, by the way, I also am going to go ahead and build up some crown corporations. These take 3 months in order to finish, and this will be done within 3 months. That's the reason I'm not doing it earlier. Otherwise, that'd be pretty viable. Also, I don't have enough political power to do all of it, but you get the idea. Let's go ahead and invite more people into this, blah, blah, blah. Keep it going. They're all joining, because of course they are. That adds in another 50 political power into them. Invite India into it last. And I think we're going to actually invest in India because I want them strong so that they can take back over the rest of India and reform the British Raj for me. So a stronger economic base should help with that at least a little bit. I think. I hope. Maybe. We'll find out. Alright, so let's see. Edmund Allenby dies. We lose some more political power because when I'm making so little thanks to the French tensions, reducing it by 0.5, you know, that's what I want to see. I really want to get, you know, even more political power reduction. Ugh. Yeah, stabilizing Canada can be a little bit tricky. It really can. Greece joins the Belgrade Pact. Okay, so that's forming now. The Liberals are going to win the federal election by a slim majority, which gets them 20% more support. Which is fine by me, and that boosts up my popularity, so I now get a little bit more political power per day. King Edward congratulates Mackenzie King, which gets me some stability back up, which again, fixes some of my factory output and so on. So all of that's looking a little bit better. There goes the federal relief camps. Now we're going to move on to Bill C7, which is going to kick off the debate. Debate on the proposed Bill C7 and its promises of sweeping changes to Canada's armed forces, industry, and national security have now begun. With the Liberals' slim hold on power, passing the bill might prove challenging, and with a defeated bill comes a fallen government, so passing the bill is of extreme importance. Prime Minister Mackenzie King might have to consider compromising with the loyal opposition, though not so much that he angers his own allies. We shall see which it will be. Indeed, it'll be great. Yeah, so we're actually about to get a bunch of nice little national powers, which is going to be awesome. First things first, though, we have to deal with conscription. So again, I'm going to choose not to go for conscription here, and I'll explain why in just a second. Perhaps the most important issue covered by the bill is that of conscription. The Liberal government has promised French Canadians that it will not enact conscription at all, but there are those within the party who agree with the Conservatives in that Canada's manpower reserves are already dismally low. Very true. Changing our minds might get some agreement from the Conservatives on the bill, though it would almost certainly come at the cost of accusations of betrayal and even some defections from the Liberal side of the House of Commons. We made a promise and we stick by it. We could lose a lot of support, and what this would do is pass limited or extensive conscription for free, which is a big boost in manpower and saves me like a couple hundred political power. That is pretty nice, but there's reasons I'm not doing this. It comes down to Quebec in flames. So if you choose conscription, once Bill C7 passes, Quebec is going to go into a state of rebellion and sabotage, and that's going to really hurt my economy. If we don't pass conscription, they're not going to fire. Now that sounds good in the sense that this is going to be a thing, but we have to deal with this at some point, because there's going to come a day when I need conscription, right? So the reason we go for no conscription is, at the very least, it holds off on firing this until the American Civil War is over. Once the American Civil War begins, I'll have a chance to get conscription back again. And this won't fire until it's over, which means I'll be able to deal with this without a threat from my southern border at the same time. That's the reason we're holding off on this. It does mean that when the American Civil War begins, I'm going to be in a position of very low manpower. That's obviously quite risky, but we're going to have to accept that risk for now in order to not lose our economy in the meantime. Let's go ahead and do an ahead-of-time boost on construction tech. Obviously, the faster we build, the better. We are now working on the single supply hub that I needed, so let's go ahead and reorganize the railway system. If I could build a bunch of these and take advantage of this, that'd be great, but I can't. We can only do this once, and I really only need one over here in order to be able to beat the CSA a little bit easier and take out Detroit and Chicago quickly. So let's go ahead and just boost this out, get it done within a couple of months, actually just over a month, which is going to be really nice. Then we can go right back to building up our civilian factories instead. That's going to be really, really helpful for me in the long term. A lot of other little events happening here and there. I can't say that I really care about any of it. It's going to be completely fine. Huey Long! That's what I was afraid we were going to see. Okay. It seems that for whatever reason, the path of the United States is decided at the beginning of the game. It's not randomized every time I reload. So yeah, this happened in my last thing. So Huey Long was elected. That means that the American Union state in the South is going to be a bit stronger than they would normally, and the feds are going to be a bit weaker. It doesn't mean they're going to be strong enough to win the war outright. In fact, in my playthrough, the CSA did eventually win. It just took a lot longer than I otherwise might have expected. So at the very least, though, at least the CSA is not going to be stronger. It could be worse, but I would have preferred that MacArthur was a little bit more empowered for the feds. The future of Canada's industry. Recovery from the Great Depression has left Canada's industry in a deplorable state, and the government insists that the nation needs to industrialize at an incredibly rapid rate if it hopes to challenge the Union of Britain's power. The Liberal plan, put forward by C.D. Howe, suggests that Canada should focus on building urban infrastructure and civilian economy. Those, combined with incentives, would bring the military investment in the long run. The Conservatives want to nationalize the needed armaments and naval industry now and build them up with the government funding, even if the rest of Canada's industrial base lags behind. So the option here is to get civilian factories and empty building slots, or civilian factories and some military factories right now. I think in the long run this is better because there's not a ton of building slots in Canada, but I do think that getting some military factories allows me to intervene in the US a bit faster, hence why I'm going to pick this up. I think that you could make a very good argument that the Liberal path is better in the long run. I think it actually is, but this is what we're going to go for anyway. Let's also go for a dispersed industry to try and boost up the factory output just a little bit more. We'll see how many factories we get out of this. I actually don't remember for sure. Carlos Spain is now a thing. Okay, so the civil war over here in Spain just fired off. I would like to send you some volunteers if I can, but I can't do much, so what I can do is send you some air volunteers. This is where I'm going to start farming out some air experience. So let's go over here real quick. From my experience here, I'm only going to be able to have a total of 40 planes. So what I will do is send over 40 fighters, and then I guess some tactical bombers, so we can do some close air support and air superiority missions and help them out. It's not going to amount to very much, mind you, but it is something. They will allow us to arrive. Let's get up over here. We're going to do air superiority and close air support, and also some logistic strikes in eastern Iberia, and see if this helps them fight against the anarchists and knock them out quick. If they can knock them out quick, then they can take on the Kingdom of Spain. There is a chance that Carlos Spain will either join the Entente or join the German Reich against the French in the future. As long as the anarchists don't win, there's a good chance of that happening. I want them to join one of our two factions because as long as they're involved, that gives me a landing point to try and attack the Commune of France by land, and that'll be a little bit easier than going for all of the naval invasions. So that's one reason I'm going for that. Don't know if that's the right choice, but it is what I'm going for. We're almost done with this. As soon as this is done, I want to start making some investments in crown corporations because that's going to help me boost up my civilian factories a little bit faster. So I'm waiting on this on December 4th, which is going to be tomorrow. There it is, done, good. Let's go over here to decisions, and we're going to build crown corporation here and here. That's going to take up 6 factories for the next 3 months, but by the time it's done, I'll come back with 10 factories, and that's way faster than any I could have built this way. So I think that's best. Domestic security. Canada has been able to avoid the bitter class war that engulfed Britain after the Great War. But conflict between Canadians and the British exiles is growing, as has syndicalist sentiment among Canada's labor unions. Both the Conservatives and the Liberals have suggested the RCMP be granted sweeping powers to crack down on dissidents, with a minister to act as chairman on a parliamentary committee that oversee the process. The Conservatives have proposed Maxwell Knight. The Liberals have said Ernest Lapointe, I don't know how you say that, would do a better job. He may be more moderate in his views, but as an MP from Quebec, he is more in tune with the French Canadians. We're going to pick him up. I guess I could say Knight to get some political power, but then I lose a lot in market liberalism, and I'm going to lose a lot as I deal with Quebec anyway. Or I could boost it up and say no secret police, but I do think we want to do this. So we're going to go ahead and pass you. He's going to end up giving me some nice little boosts in a bit. There he is. He actually gets me some political power, and he gets me a little bit of construction speed, all of which is nice. Radio's done, and we have another Balkan War. Huzzah, powder keg of Europe. You never disappoint to disappoint. Let's start working on logistics companies for now. I think that'll be all right. Actually, scratch that. Let's instead go for the production efficiency cap. I think we are at the cap in some places, so we might as well boost that up and get a little bit more efficiency buildup. Imperial trade has gone away. That's unfortunate, but oh well, not a big deal. All right, I don't really want to continue working on these light tanks. I want just enough to sustain me as I do this training. Something I'm going to do is change these guys to only train... Oh, they're actually done. I wanted to train everyone to regulars and then stop. We're not getting a lot of army experience out of this, but I have just enough that I could add on some support artillery if that's what I want to do, and I do. We also can start training up some more units, which I'm going to go ahead and start doing now. Again, we don't have a lot of equipment to work with, but we might as well get working on it. How are we doing as far as air superiority over here? Not exactly great. There's a lot more fighters than we have. That's partly because the French and the British are going to be supporting the anarchists over here, but hopefully we can at least tip the balance a smidge in their favor, just a tiny little bit. We will see. In the meantime, we're going to stop wasting all of my equipment and let that start building up. The cliques are having fun over in China. Don't really care too much. The C7 bill is about to be done. This is going to get me a lot of fun stuff. Here we go. With the debate on Bill C7 coming to a close, the House Speaker has begun the roll call. We'll know the results in just a moment. In the meantime, I think we have a couple of options here. We could go for address the army, get some experience, and start working toward things like preparations for war, which is going to get me some support, and then eventually we can get some political power and a lot more manpower. If I'm almost completely out and we're getting close, that would help me to train up some more units to be ready to go against the US in a bit. Alternatively, we could go for some extra crown corporations, or we could get some political power this way and start working on some scientific boosts instead. What's going to be better here? I think I'm going to go for Address the Army, which is going to get me an event, Chief of Army. I don't know if that actually gets me one for free, because last time I did this, I went for this early using my political power, and I'm wondering if I would have gotten one for free if I do this. And that would let me get a lot of army experience if that's the case, so we'll see. It passes. All right, so here's what happens out of this one. We did not pass conscription, so we get 200 political power. Nice. We removed Divided Nation, which means I'm going to get more political power. Nice. We get Professional Army, which is going to increase my division organization and special forces capacity. Nice. We get a Compromise economic plan, which reduces my consumer goods by 5%. I think if we had gone for the pure civilian one, it would have been 10%, so that's actually 1 point in its favor. But we also get some max factories and then 10% extra factory output, plus we got, it looks like, a couple more factories. It's all right. Maybe the civilian route would have been better, actually. I think it would have been. All right. Anyway, we also get the Mounties for some stability, and we get the guy we were talking about earlier. So that's done. Huzzah! Bill C7 is nice, and I get some political power. So, what should I do with some of that? We could go for some designers. I'm going to hold off and wait and find out what happens with this Chief of Army thing. If it gets me one for free, awesome. If it doesn't, I want to have the political power available to buy one of these guys ASAP, because I would really like that. Princely Federation declares war on Mysore over there. Okay. Bit of aggression going on over there. Let's go ahead and start getting some extra resources. I feel like having that would be nice. Anything we could do to actually pull back on trade would be great. We are going to trade a little bit more with the United States. Again, sacking some of those civilian factories temporarily. Princely Federation's fighting the Dominion of India. What? That didn't happen last time I did this. Hold up. Well, they're kind of fighting a civil war at the moment. We could try to assist with this. It takes a very long time to send my troops down here is the problem. And I know that I'm going to have some other problems to worry about, so I don't know if I want to send everybody. I can send a few, though. Hang on. So we're going to do a handful of troops, and we're actually going to split these guys off into a different army, and I'm going to garrison them here in Jamaica. The rest of you, let's see if we can get you down to India quickly before it actually will make a difference. I feel like we can't, but let's try. Now, you might wonder why I'm sending some troops down here. It's because I'm a prophet, and I know the future, because I played this a little bit before, so I know that having some troops down there actually will be a little bit helpful. You'll see! Call to arms by the Dominion of India, absolutely. Everyone else in the Entente, go help. Australasia, you go help. Do things. Also, planes. What happened to the rest of my fighter? Oh, right, we did things with them. Hang on. I want to get some of my interwar bombers, let's say 25 of them. I'm going to send a handful of planes down over this way to India and see if they make any difference early on or not. Central India, see if they can help. French tensions lessen. Yay! By actually not going for conscription, we reduce this a little bit, which just makes me stronger. See, this is just one more reason why it helps. Now, unfortunately, by going to war, my stability drops, which is going to hurt me in a lot of different ways. And again, this didn't happen last time I played this, so I don't know how much that's going to end up impacting me. But we will see. In the meantime, I definitely like the idea that we're making one political power per day. That's way better than it was. Hey, by all means, you guys are absolutely welcome to send me some support equipment. That helps shore things up a little bit. We don't have a lot of support equipment, apparently. That's mainly because I started training up a lot more units, right? Pretty sure, yeah. How are we doing on our artillery production? Pretty terrible, but that's because I'm still reinforcing what I've got right now. Once this is all taken care of, I'm probably going to add on some support artillery and boost that up. At least a little bit. Some of these fleets need to stop training because I'm using up all my oil, and that's going to prove a problem for my Air Force. So we'll stop with any of that nonsense. I really doubt that my troops can get down here in a meaningful time frame, but we'll see. If the Dominion of India can actually snag some of this territory back, that'd be amazing. The Carlists are having problems. All right, we're going to back you up to Western Iberia and see if they can help more locally because they're losing ground in some crucial areas. The Carlists might lose, and if they do, they do. I'm not going to shed any tears about it. In the meantime, we are getting a little bit of air experience simply for being involved. The Buryatia Commune declares war on the Princely Federation. So now it's a three-way war, four-way war actually, here in India. That probably means the Princely Federation's in a lot more trouble, which means it's more likely that we'll successfully make some hits here. But we'll see. You guys are going to do some convoy raiding. They're repairing. Why? Go and do convoy raiding and stuff over here in southern India. And we'll assign just somebody over here. Around the Arabian Sea, trying to cut them off from some of their supports navally. Portugal has the only other port down here, so this is the one they've got. I don't know if it makes any difference, but we'll try for it. We'll see. Again, like I said, this wasn't a problem last time. We've addressed the army. Okay, hang on. We get one. Who do we get? Let's just check who these people are. The time has come to select the man who will lead both the British and Canadian forces to victory. King Edward and Prime Minister Anthony Eden have all but appointed JFC Boney Fuller with the title. Convinced his ideas on mechanizing the military is exactly the kind of ideas we need. They both seem to have forgotten, however, the majority of lives on the line will be Canadian. Several ministers have pointed out that George's veneer will be more than qualified. So pick you up, that gets me organization and supply consumption and army experience, or pick you up, motorized speed, armor, speed, and breakthrough, spearhead division. Hang on. So, I don't care about speed in this case. I actually am not positive that I care about armor or breakthrough because I don't anticipate that I'm going to have the industrial base to make a lot of use of tanks in this version of the game. Because remember, we're playing a no step back, and tanks are more expensive. Yeah, I like the 5% attack on all of that. This guy is pretty good. But I think I'm actually going to go for George's veneer. Yeah, and in the meantime, that gets me a free chief of army. You know, that's pretty good. It's pretty darn good, actually. I like that. We could go for material designer. I think I'm going to hold off on this because I could go for some extra artillery boosts, and that is pretty nice. It's really nice, actually. But I also know that at some point we'll have access to a doctrine that makes motorized cheaper, which would be a way for me to get the poor man's tanks out there, even though I know motorized have been nerfed in one of the latest patches. They don't have as much hardness as before. So that's a thought. We could go for a chief of staff instead. This could be helpful. This would actually get me some manpower. I don't care about infantry attack is the thing. But I do care a lot about manpower because we're going to be struggling for it, and I need to train as many bodies as possible. We're going to pick up Kenneth Stewart. That uses up my political power, at least for a little bit. It is 1937. Anything else I want to research that's very important right now? I don't think so. Could start working on an upgrade to light tanks. And since nothing else is super pressing, I think I will. Let's just go ahead and get that unlocked in case that I want those in the future. As far as another upgrade here, preparations for war would let me get toward that manpower. There's actually a lot of really nice things we can do here for research bonuses and stuff, get really far ahead of time on stuff. This is really important if we're going to invade the UK, because it gives me an option to press a button and just go for it, but I'm not going to do that right now. The Americans are at war, blah, blah, blah. I think we may want to go for some extra crown corporations. But the extra manpower is so important to me right now, too. All right, we're going to pick this up. We're going to go for the industry. Sorry, a little indecisive there. A little indecisive, but I really wanted it. Okay. And let's see. We're almost done building up these factories, so we're about to see a small boost. And that is the American Civil War firing off right there. There it is. Boom. Standoff in America. It's going to turn into a proper hot war in just a minute. We're not going to be in a position to fight against the CSA for at least a few months. So I'm not feeling too worried about it. Where are my troops over here, though? They're still making their way through the Suez Canal. Yeah, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to arrive here in time to do anything. Or do much. We'll see, though. The real trick is to see, can we push down to these victory points and take the capital? My troops might be enough to make the difference. Maybe. We have pure air superiority. Why are you guys doing nothing? Oh, it's because I sent the wrong dang bombers. These aren't the people I wanted. These are the people I wanted. Get them down over here. And actually, all of you guys are going to get assigned to this. There we go. We can assist with this, get some air superiority going, all right? Dispersed industry is done. That's a nice little factory output boost. And then, what else might I want? Let's get those logistics companies going because supply is just so crucial in this version of the game. And as far as anything else, you know what? I'm going to get a Chief of Air Force going for us. Somebody who gets me a lot of air experience. That way I can start working on some of the doctrines, because otherwise we're going to be pretty slow at getting air experience. All right, this is all good enough for the moment. Oh, and before I end this video, one more thing I want to do before I forget. Go over here to the Spirit of Army, get a Professional Officer Corps, which boosts up my Army experience gain by a bit and makes all doctrines cheaper, which means it will pay for itself in a bit of time. All right, gonna end the video here. The American Civil War is about to kick off. These guys are about to start fighting, and a lot of fun things are about to happen for me. This is going to distract me a little bit, but hopefully they can win without too much intervention, because pretty soon I need to actually turn these troops around and hightail it back up over here, but we'll see. Thank y'all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.